FAFO. FAFO, for those of you not well versed in the text acronym universe. FAFO, that's what the Colombian president found out. Frack around, find out.
That didn't take long, did it, Dan?
The former Marxist guerrilla turned president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, refused to accept 2 flights of Colombian deportees, which he had previously authorized and were previously approved. Then he said, the U.S. cannot treat Colombian migrants as criminals. I deny the entry of American planes carrying Colombian migrants into our territory. The United States must establish a protocol for the dignified treatment of migrants before we receive them.
Yeah, the C-17 planes departed from California, and they'd been cleared to land when he revoked its clearance.
Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt on this assertion that you cannot treat Colombian migrants as criminals.
You can't, meaning the United States, can't treat our people, Colombians, like criminals. What's your response?
Well, these are criminals. The United States of America, if we believe in sovereignty, we're going to reestablish the sovereignty of our own borders and actually enforce the laws that are on the books. Look, deportation is nothing new. Bill Clinton deported 12 million people. So when you see this hue and cry from the left, it's because they've been captured by the radical left who believes in open borders. They think these are just arbitrary lines on a map, and they're all global citizens, and the United States American taxpayers should fund all this stuff. And that's not how it works.
Well said. So the FAFO, then, per Eric Schmidt's predicting the response from the Trump administration, okay, we're going to whack Colombian imports with the 25% tariff. That goes to 50% next week. The embassy's visa office in the United States, Colombian embassy's visa office in the United States will be closed.
Yep, bye-bye.
You're done.
Yeah, but then, wow, he acquiesced to Trump's demands, and he even offered this, my favorite, the official Colombian presidential plane to help shuttle migrants back to the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. We are. I mean, and by the way, just to be clear, because I know we have to speak very slowly and explicitly for our friends on the left, we're not calling all Colombians criminals. We're calling the Colombian nationals being deported criminals because, as Eric Schmidt, the senator from Missouri, said, they are. That is who is being arrested and deported right now. People in this country illegally who also pose public safety threats. Just to make sure you're following along, follow the bouncing ball, if you will. I know that's difficult for the left to do.
Can you imagine taking the presidential plane from Colombia back to your home country?
Yes, and the hue and cry from the press over the weekend about we could see an increase in coffee and cut flowers, and oh golly, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. I think you're missing the forest for the twigs, D.C. press corps, as per usual. For more on this, pleased to be joined by Ken Blackwell, former mayor of Cincinnati and Secretary of State of Ohio, also now the chair of the Center for Election Integrity at the American First Policy Institute. Ken, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's always good to be with you.
So good morning. So we're off to a pretty fast start, and you take an important angle to this because there's a lot of angles in this discussion, which is what Trump and Tom Homan and his team are doing right now will have another beneficial effect that not too many people are talking about, which is increase confidence in our elections.
Absolutely. The same folks who are operating on this notion that we can have nations without borders are the same folks who corrupt our voter rolls because they believe in citizens or voters without borders. And so what we've witnessed is a very strong attack on American citizenship, American sovereignty. And the Trump administration is coming out swinging and basically saying, if the rule of law has any integrity, if rules matter, then we, in fact, are going to go after folks who break the rules. We're going to concentrate initially on those who are violent crimes, but as was just stated, those folks who came in here illegally are lawbreakers, and therefore should be deported. Now, the reason that works for voters and voter integrity is that we want to make sure that not one legal ballot is in fact negated by an illegal ballot, and there is just scores of reports that basically say that our voter rolls are bloated and corrupted, and therefore there is a negative impact on our election system. So people get I think a uplift in their confidence when they see that we're going after lawbreakers, and we basically are encouraging and demanding from the ground up that election officials, state officials, clean up the voter rolls.
I wanted to get your reaction to this, maybe if there's a connection, because so much attention has been paid. Two things, actually. DEI, in the first week, two things have really bubbled to the surface in addition to the confirmation hearings for cabinet officials. The DEI ordinance, or executive order, I should say, and the what we're talking about now, border security and enforcement and obtaining and removing people who should be obtained and removed. Atlas Intel, which was the most accurate pollster in the 24 presidential election, did a survey between January 21 and 23, first few days of the administration, where this was the focus, and found that 69% of Black Americans approve of the job Trump is doing in the first few days, and anticipating what he's going to do because he's telegraphed it pretty well. 69% of Black Americans approve. Only 50% of white Americans do, by comparison. It's sort of remarkable. You would think, well, number one, you've obviously a supermajority of blacks voted for Kamala Harris. Number two, we're supposed to believe that all minorities are identitarian addled, like the Dem Party and the white left, the rich white left. And yet that's the focus of the first week, and you see incredible numbers from Black Americans, particularly compared to white.
Oh, well, look. For decades now, the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King before him, Frederick Douglass, right on to today's folks who are fighting for full-fledged citizenship, we actually understand that, the law matters. There's just no way that you can embrace bloated voter rolls, illegals having opportunities to vote, when you have fought to make sure that you had adequate access to the ballot. You don't want your now legal ballot being negated by somebody who's cheated. And so more and more folks across the country are embracing this integrity initiative. And it's just going to drive the left crazy. Look, my dad used to always say, in terms of raising children, if you reward bad behavior, you shouldn't be surprised that you get more bad behavior. So that's a basic common sense understanding across ethnicities and races and economic income groups. You just can't reward bad behavior and expect things to fall into place and everything to be copacetic.
But does it suggest also that the DEI play that Trump has made, amid the hue and cry over that, just like the hue and cry from the left over reestablishing security at our border, that it just doesn't have the cachet that it used to, particularly with the base of their own party?
Oh, yeah, it really does. What they missed was that there were those of us, in the 50s, in the 60s, and the 70s that actually fought to have equal opportunity. We embrace a meritocracy, but we wanted to make sure that there were no artificial barriers to people competing, not guaranteed outcomes. And people shortchange that sort of intellectual grasp in minority groups. When I will just tell you, they get it as much as anybody else.
I wanted to ask you about the 2024 presidential race. Do you think it was fair and accurate, or was it just too big to rig by the Democrats?
Well, I think there are no perfect systems. There were still hiccups in the system, but it was more transparent, and folks really did engage in all established legal aspects of the system. This time around, given that it was the law in many states, Trump said, okay, if early voting is legal, let's make sure that we bank the vote. And so we played by the rules that were established, even if, in fact, we think those rules should be changed. For this particular election, those were the rules. We played by those rules, and we won.
Ken Blackwell, chair of the Center for Election Integrity at the America First Policy Institute, former Ohio Secretary of State and mayor of Cincinnati as well. Ken Blackwell, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Always good to be with you. God bless.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Does pain in your life impact everything you do, like walking, climbing stairs, even getting out of your car? You don't have to live like this. Hey, Amy Jacobson here with a solution. Joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back due to arthritis or an injury can be eliminated. How? Well, with the help from our good friends at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics regenerative treatments are sweeping the nation. Everyone's talking about it. And they're right here in Chicago under the guidance of medical director Dr. Ashley Caravelli. Here's how it works. QC Kinetics treatments prompt your body to heal and restore damaged joints. Joint pain doesn't get better with time. See if you're a candidate for these life-changing treatments. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation and tell them Amy Jacobson sent you.